Aloha, I'm Lori. Welcome to Author Talk. I'm excited about my guest today, Kendra Herber. She is coming to us from Ohio, and I'm based here in the big island of Hawaii. She has written a book called Whole, A Leg Up on Life. It's kind of hard to see on the Kindle, but she has written an amazing book, just told the story of her life being an amputee. And so I don't want to talk too much. So I want to welcome you, Kendra. I'm so glad to have you with me today to talk about your book. And
thanks for having me.
yes. And of course, you do kind of start at birth. You've really done your research, but I wanted to ask you about the title and something that you wrote at the end first, which was you feel like being an amputee, or another way to put it, I guess, crudely, not being like whole physically, has made you whole. So how did you like come to discover that or decide that for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it was a long journey, to be honest. At the young ages, I was really unfazed by it. It wasn't until, those awkward like middle school and high school years where I started to really, waver in my confidence and just start to second guess who I was and how I looked and all of that. It wasn't until I probably, got to college and just started to like come into my own a little bit more. And then my husband helped a lot. He said that he was actually attracted to me because of my leg, which
I love it.
I thought
That's
is like
awesome.
the total opposite. I always thought that men would just not even be interested because of that. Like it would deter them.
Yes.
But for him, that's why I knew he was special.
Yes.
Because he loved that part about me. And I think that just really helped me to grow and change. And then recently I just got a new prosthesis, and it's very different than what I have had in the past. Before, I always had like a skin covering that looked very natural and normal, if you will. But now it is black and it is shiny and it just is out there for everyone to see. And, I thought I was going to hate it, and I actually love it. And it's like a piece of art. And now I like want to show it off. And it's helped me to not want to hide anymore and just to really put myself out there and be proud of who I am. And I think that I've just really grown throughout that.
Yes, right on. And I've seen some of your photo shoot pictures as well. So that's the one, that black one. It looks like really state of the art. And so you've actually had quite a journey with your prosthetic because of basically of growing and the body changing. And so I'm not sure if that's something that people really think about, like when you were a baby, when you were like really little. How often did you have to get a new prosthetic, a new leg?
Oh gosh, sometimes it was every 6 months. It just depended on growth spurts and stuff. They would try to just put like a little wooden piece. It was really rudimentary back then. It's 30 years ago. But they would try to like put a little wedge in to try to not have so many prostheses, just because, they're expensive and it takes a lot of time to fit. And I was 3 hours away. So trips, they were just really involved. So if I just grew taller, they could really tweak that pretty easily. But if I grew, outward a little bit more, then there was just nothing they could do. And we had to completely start from scratch. So I joke, but I like have legs all in my closet and in bags in my classroom. So I'm a teacher. I have legs everywhere.
Yes, that's awesome too. And I totally want to get to the teacher part in the school with your leg, but we should probably back up first, my bad, and say, why do you even have a prosthesis at all?
Yeah, I was born with a missing fibula bone, and my foot was crooked. I was missing two toes, my biggest ones on my right foot, and just, it just didn't form all the way. It
Mm-hmm.
was about, I don't know, like an inch and a half shorter than the other one, and they had no idea. It was a complete surprise
Mm-hmm.
because, ultrasounds were not that great back then,
Yeah.
and it was really, really hard on my parents at the beginning.
Yes, because this is now a whole new world that you've got to learn and navigate, and it was unexpected, like you said. They had no idea what that was going to be, or when you come out and it like you talk about the 10 toes and the 10 fingers, and
Yeah.
it's not that way.
And your
Surprise.
mind always goes to the worst. So I think that's what they did. Like they just thought of the worst case scenario, and they're like, oh my gosh, she going to be in a wheelchair, or is, she
Yeah.
going to have other health complications? They just didn't know at that point.
Yes, but what they did know, that was just fantastic, was that you're going to have a certain mindset to be successful with this. So how did they
Yeah.
help you out? How did they help you out in that way?
Oh my gosh, they didn't hold me back from anything. All they did was just kind of nudge, gentle
Mm-hmm.
nudging, like, you want to do this? Sure, we'll sign you up. And, you might have to do things a little differently, but that doesn't matter. We can still make this happen. One of my favorite parts of the book is when my dad rigged up my tricycle, and he like put a strap on the pedal because my foot just kept slipping off, and I was getting so frustrated. And all my friends are, whizzing around my driveway, and I'm just sedentary, sitting there
Mm-hmm.
mad. And he's like, nope, I'm going to figure this out. And just him having that attitude made me then have that attitude. And it's like, you know what? I'm just going to get creative with this, and I'm going to figure it out.
Yes, and that was one of the things that struck me with your story, is how resourceful you were, and your family was, just to figure it out and to make everything a little bit easier. And it did in so many ways. But the other thing that I really liked that maybe people don't think about, unless it's you and your family, especially teenage girls, want to look cute and stuff like that. So I love your stories about the shoes. And so tell us about the shoes and what that meant to you.
Yeah. I always wanted to wear high heels. All my friends were wearing them. I just can't. And well, I couldn't back then, I should say. And so I would try different things. And whenever I tried even like the tiniest of heels, it would throw my knee forward.
Mm.
And I would just not walk naturally at all. And it would hurt. Like it just was not happening. So my mom ended up finding the cutest pair of shoes one time. And I was just so thankful because she made me feel like everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't
Mm-hmm.
know why they worked. It might have like a little wedge, so it was like, I don't know, just easier, or just a very, very small heel. But either way, I mean, that heel could have been 2 inches tall. That's how it
Mm-hmm.
felt to me.
Yes.
But even
So
now, I'm having shoe issues because this new
yes.
leg, it's like, I don't know, it doesn't let me wear anything other than gym shoes. And
Okay.
that's been a huge problem.
Mm-hmm.
So when I want to wear like sandals and things like that, I actually go barefoot on my prosthetic leg. But
Okay.
then there's a bit of like a height difference. And so I have actually gotten some of my students who are in engineering class to help me out. They're actually working on like a prototype right now to see if they can figure out my problem.
Oh, that's awesome! You got the kids involved. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. So you are a high school English teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
and tell us what you did. Like, I think it was the first day of school, or early in the school year, to get the kids
Yeah.
comfortable.
I always take it off in front of them, and
Mm-hmm.
I give them a forewarning. Like, if this is going to make you queasy or, feel weird, just put your head down, or you can ask to leave the room for a second. But I mean, everyone's normally really cool about it. And some of them want to take pictures and some of them want to feel my stump, is what I call it. And I'm just very open with them because I feel like it just tears down some barriers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if I'm open with them, they tend to want to be more open with me. And it
Yes.
just sets off the relationship really well. And
Yes.
plus, like, they're high schoolers and they were where I was when I was not confident in myself at all. So I know that they're going through the same thing. And I just feel like if I own it in front of them, then I can teach them such a valuable lesson of just being happy with who they are and their differences and things like that.
Exactly, because with the shoes, you really just wanted to fit in, right? To kind
Hmm.
of be more like everybody else, still in your own unique way. But so what you're already teaching the kids in your classes are, it doesn't matter. Just go ahead. You can be yourself. Look at me, and I was able to overcome, and so you can too. I mean, it's right
Yeah.
there. Yeah, it's so great. So you also were able to receive, well, more your parents in the earlier years receive help.
Hmm.
Yes, from the Shriners. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think that's going to be something that will really, if people aren't quite sure about resources or where to research or whatever, the Shriners were amazing, it sounded like.
Oh, yeah. They were a godsend. We did not pay for any prosthetic materials until I was 21 years old. They covered everything. I know now they go through insurance, but they definitely still pay for whatever insurance doesn't cover. So
Mm-hmm.
right now I have to pay for 20% of my device, but they would cover that.
Okay.
They're unbelievable.
Yes.
So they saw me through the surgery. They did the surgery there. They have given me every single prosthetic device until I was 21. And they did follow up appointments. They just did everything.
Yes. I mean, they just really sounded very thorough and comprehensive, and wanted you to be successful and have the best life possible to reach your potential. And so I just really have to give a shout out to the Shriners and what they do. So,
Yeah. And I talk a lot in my book about my prosthetist, whose
mm-hmm.
name is Wayne.
Yes.
He was just in my corner. I've
Mm-hmm.
never had such a bigger cheering section. And he wanted my leg to work probably more than I did.
Mm-hmm.
He just really wanted it to, help me out in life and just help me reach my full potential.
Yes, yes. Which it it seemed like you did. It's clear in the book that you're an athlete. High school athlete, lots of sports, and
Hmm.
with a prosthetic leg, and one, it could ill fit or rub wrong or whatever. So I'm sure there's a lot of high school or young people that are an amputee that would still like to play sports.
Oh,
And
yeah.
yeah. And you're so resourceful that you figured it out, and stubborn that you plowed through it. But I was thinking, not everybody might be quite as driven. But so, what would you say to that person that really wants to go out there and give it a shot, but they're just not quite as driven, or a little too intimidated to go for it?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of adaptive equipment now. There's a lot of foundations out there that can help people get adaptive equipment. And if they're not fully ready to just hit it head on, there's other things that you can do just to start out slowly. Also, I think it's always better to train with someone.
Mm-hmm.
And if they could have another amputee with them, I think that would be awesome. And I know that, I mean, running, I really struggle with. I'm kind of terrible at it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but I just fight through it. I'm really curious about just how to get better. And especially with this new leg that I have, is more responsive. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm finding out for the first time, like, oh, I can kind of do this a little bit better than before. And I think it's just setting little goals and
Mm-hmm.
not like biting too much off at one time.
Mm-hmm.
And like once you do one thing, then you'll gain confidence and you'll realize, oh, okay, I can do this, and maybe I can do the next thing. And
So yeah,
so
so
yeah.
just go for it and let it build kind of one after the other. A
Mm-hmm.
little, little step here, little step there, as long as it's kind of forward movement. And you had to kind of fight through a lot of sore spots and raw
Yeah.
raw spots and all of that. And that was another thing I loved about your tenacity, uh, probably even in high school when you could start to advocate for yourself. You didn't let things slip by. And so kids out there or anybody out there that might not want to speak up, but they know things aren't quite right, and
Mm-hmm.
probably and could be better. What would you say to them?
Yeah, I would just say don't settle.
Mm-hmm.
There's people out there that will work really hard for you, and there are innovative people who are trying to figure out better things, and they don't know what to work on if we don't tell them. And plus, like prosthetists, as much as they want to be able to know exactly how something feels, they can't feel it.
Right.
And we have to tell them exactly where things are hurting and what's wrong so that we can be as pain free as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that they want us to be comfortable, and they want us to be active, to be honest, because it just makes us healthier and have less
Yes.
problems down the road. Um, so I think with that in mind, like it's hard because we have been like fighters, us amputees, for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes we feel like we have to fight against it. Like, it's fine, I'll just fight the pain, I'll deal with
Yes.
it. But that will only work for so long. And I mean, it's good that we have that mentality, but at the same time, we can't be fighting ourselves.
Right. Yeah, just kind of one other obstacle kind of coming at you. So, in kind of a percentage, what um, I know technology now is its best, right? Since you began, because
Oh yeah.
every year technology gets better. So it might
Mm-hmm.
not be quite as bad now with the sore spots and all of that. But what would you say, just to give somebody like a realistic idea, um, of like what percentage do you get sore spots? Like, are most days you're not, it doesn't hurt at all? Um, is it just on the days where you excel? What would you say? It's like,
Yeah. Um, I would say that if I have a good fitting prosthesis, then I would say that most times I'm very comfortable. I don't have any abrasions or anything like that. Um, I do still get sore when I work out,
mm-hmm,
especially on the bottom part of my stump.
mm-hmm,
But if the prosthesis is not fitting right, and this is what I just went through for almost 2 years, they were trying to get it right. And sometimes it hurt just to walk.
mm-hmm.
And I would have to not wear it. And that's really frustrating for me because I'm so active. So that's almost like taking away a passion and a love for me. Um, but no, there are times when I can't even bear weight on it because it hurts so badly.
Yes. So, kind of the key there really is communication with your OMP, your prosthetist, and patience. I mean, really, it was a
Yeah.
2 year process to get it just right. And it almost seems like in that 2 years, your leg changed as well.
Oh,
Probably,
yeah.
and so
Yeah.
there's the constant remolding and reshaping
Yeah, because
the.
I don't know if everyone realizes how conscientious we have to be with the fit of our prosthesis, because even like a 5 pound change for me can make a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
And the prosthesis that I wear right now, I can't really adjust it by wearing socks. Normally, amputees will tell you all the time, the process is like, just put some socks on or take some socks off. Like, that's the magical thing. But this leg, I can't even wear socks. So there is no wiggle room. And I have to be very conscious about, diet and exercise and things like that, just so I don't have volume changes very much.
Yes, yes. So, and you do exercise a lot, and we're an athlete all through high school, so it can be done. You can get a
Hmm.
nice fitting prosthetic and be an athlete. Probably, especially now with the more progress in technology and everything.
Hmm.
So if somebody wants to run or play soccer, they should just do it, right? Just go
Yes.
for it. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's anyone, to be honest, even if you don't have any physical limitations. Like,
Right.
we can all do more than we think that we can. Our mind limits us way more than our body does.
Yes. Yeah. You also talk about some embarrassing moments, which are probably inevitable,
Oh,
um,
yeah.
and then uh, you know sometime later, hopefully can laugh at the situation. But what were a couple of or one anyway? We don't want to like give too much of your book away. But what was one like moment you can share with people to go, this is it. This is life. So.
Yeah, I was just say anything with it falling off, because that it used to be held on by a strap,
Mm-hmm.
and the strap broke all the time. So one soccer game when I was 5, it just went flying through the air, and the whole crowd had to stop and sit down. And oh my gosh, I mean, to be honest, I wasn't all that embarrassed at the time because I was 5. Like, it didn't really phase me, but now looking back, I'm like, oh my gosh, what in the world?
Yeah, because everybody sees you're out. Everybody's watching you. The little ones run
Yes.
around and all of that, and the leg goes flying. Did any of the kids get scared? Did it freak anybody out to see this leg go flying?
Not that I
No.
remember. I mean, they all handled it pretty well, to be honest.
Good.
And I don't know, kids are really inquisitive,
Yes.
and they had asked me a lot about my leg beforehand, people on my team at least.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they pretty much just kind of knew this is how I am. And
Yeah.
I think I scared my coach to death, I think. He was like, oh my gosh. He like raced over to me, and I'm just handling it so like nonchalant. I'm like, this happens all the time. It's all
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. um, and so those things are going to happen most likely, especially if you're active. Because you want to, like you said, you you want to be whole and experience everything, live life. You just want to
Yeah.
live your life and do things and play and run and go in the water and
Hmm.
um, now I know that you had a bit of a time though with the water. Your particular prosthetic, kind of growing up, you couldn't get wet.
Yeah.
So that have they advanced? Like, can you get a prosthetic wet? Like, can you go in the ocean now or?
Some people can.
Okay.
It kind of depends on what type of leg you have.
Mm-hmm.
Since mine has a pin lock, it has a lot of parts that will rust and things like that. And plus, it just water gets into the socket, and like,
Mm-hmm.
it just doesn't feel all that great, and it weighs you down.
Yeah.
So a lot of amputees just take it off, but some people wear it in the water.
Mm-hmm.
I do not have a water leg, and mine cannot get wet, and insurance will not cover a water leg for me. So my prosthetist is taking one of my old legs that I keep in my closet and trying to turn it into one that I can wear in the water. And
Oh.
mainly, like, I don't really want to swim with it, because it is really hard to swim with it on.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to walk into the ocean with it and not have the shells totally hurt my stump.
Mm.
I want
Mm-hmm.
to go to splash pads with my daughters and be able to actually go in the water with them. It's more of that kind of stuff, like standing in water. I really
Yes.
wish I could do
Okay.
that.
Yeah. And what you said was just another great resourceful tip was modify an old one,
Yeah.
because you're probably not, if you're in the water, you're probably not going to be on it very long. So it wouldn't necessarily have to fit the stump perfectly if you're not
Exactly.
really going to be wearing it that long, but the foot part can go in the water.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. So that was a great tip, I thought. Modify an older one.
Yeah.
Yes, good, good. So, of course, growing up, you have to, get new ones all the time because your body's growing. But as an adult, our bodies, don't change as much. There, I
Hmm.
thought, what was the longest that you had gotten to go without having
Hmm.
to get a new prosthetic?
So I guess my last leg, is 7 years old now.
Oh, okay.
And normally they don't last that long. Is 5 years is probably about max on
Mm-hmm.
one. That
Mm-hmm.
that even might be kind of long.
Okay.
Um, but I had to extend the life of that one because that 2 years I was talking about
Mm-hmm.
of the ill-fitting one, I just couldn't even bring myself to wear the new one. So I had to rely on my old one, even
Okay.
though that one was broken. So it's good that I did have backups. But right now, I am keeping that one because it can let me wear heels
Mm-hmm.
and it has the nice skin. So if I do want to dress up or look a little nicer or just have a different look,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm keeping that one now, even though it's 7 years old. But it's still good. It's
Yes.
my old faithful.
Yes. Good. Good. It's nice to have one of those. I do like your new one, the black one. It's very state of the art and all of
Thank
that
you.
looking. But that's another thing though, that right, the amputee, the family, is going to have to kind of deal with, is it's a lifelong getting new prosthetics as your body
Hmm.
changes, as you age. Just let that
Yeah.
go. So that's kind of another thing that people might not at first think about, that this is a lifelong process. It just
Hmm.
is. And so, that's just another part about the mindset. So if you can talk to people about like really attitude and how important that is in situations like this.
Yeah, my prosthetist tells a story, so I'll relay it because I love it. He was working with two different amputees at the same time. One was 21 years old, and one was like 83 or something like that. And it was all about mentality because the 83-year-old was up and walking before the 21-year-old because he just had spunk to him and
Mm-hmm.
like this go get him attitude. And at the same time they're in the same place and the 83-year-old was kicking the 21-year-old's butt. Just love it. It really does matter on your
Yes.
attitude. you,
Yes.
you wake up every single day and you just say, I'm going to do the best I can today, whatever
Mm-hmm.
that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to be the best me.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And that's good advice for everybody. Really, we can all just be our best selves each day. Now, you did talk a little bit about when you were younger, I think middle school, of course, about being made fun of or
Hmm.
ill remarks. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, people can be brutal. And, we know this. I mean, I teach ninth grade and there's still bullying happening. And it doesn't matter what is wrong with anyone or
Mm-hmm.
what is different with anyone. They are going to find it and they're going to pick at it. And I had some people just say rude comments. I had tons of staring, of course, but that's very natural. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't get upset about staring. My husband or my sister will point it out and they'll be more upset than I am. I'm like, it's fine.
Yeah.
They should stare. Like, this
Mm-hmm.
is interesting and different. And
Mm-hmm.
you can be curious, and that's okay. But no, I won't spoil it. But there's one part in the book with mean girls. Mean girls.
Yes, mean
There's,
girls in middle school.
oh, man. They really can be brutal. And I'm
Yeah.
sure that's why I felt like I had to overcompensate a lot in my life
Mm-hmm.
and just try to hide things a little bit more. And I don't
Yeah.
know, I just tried to seek attention in different ways so that the attention would be off of my leg.
Oh, okay.
And I wish I wouldn't have, but that was definitely my coping mechanism. And I've learned from that, and I know better now, but that's definitely what I did.
Yes, yes. Good, good. And you had such a great support system around you. You know, your parents were great, you know, instilled
Hmm.
the positive attitude and the right mindset early on for you. So if somebody, for whatever reason, you know, their family's not around, you know, there's so many variables that could be out there as to why a person wouldn't have an immediate support system, like a close
Hmm.
support system. What are there other agencies or organizations out there that help amputees, that will drive you or go places with you or
You know,
just
for
support you, you know?
yeah, for
Yeah.
young kids, I know that the Shriners Hospital will transport families and things like that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure about transportation, but I'm almost positive there are things out there for people.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as support goes, I'm actually part of two different online support groups.
Oh.
Both of them are through Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because I totally thought that, I was going to be able to give so much to these people. And I was a wealth of knowledge because I've had it for, 33 years and all this. And then come to find out they're the ones helping me. And I
Ah,
just love it. Like, I just
yes.
thought I didn't need help. Like, I've
Mm-hmm.
got this figured out.
Mm-hmm.
No, I was so naive. And they have suggested different things, and they have just, I don't know, they've been so helpful. I love it.
Yes. So even if you kind of think that you don't need help or you've got it figured out, there's two things. A, you can join a group and figure out that they have good ideas too.
Hmm.
Um, and you can share your ideas. So it's very lots of reciprocation going
Yeah.
on. So if somebody's
Oh,
out there
yeah.
thinking, "Oh, I don't need a support group," well, you can be the one to go help then.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Give back. Yeah.
and to give back. So, is there any last words you would want to say to somebody that's just embarking on or in the middle of a journey that's kind of similar to yours?
Um, for the younger people, I always say fake it till you make it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you fake that you have confidence, people leave you alone. They will know that you're comfortable and they won't have anything to attack. So if they start to make a rude comment, you're like, I like my leg. And
Yes.
like, what else are they going to say to that? So I think, obviously trying to actually be confident is a step, but I think faking it until you are is huge for young people.
Mm-hmm.
For older people, I think removing any kind of barriers that you have placed on yourself, because, I've told myself for so long, I'm not a runner.
Mm-hmm.
That's a barrier that I put up myself.
Mm-hmm.
And come to find out, I'm still not great, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting better at it. And I just ran 20 minutes straight. And it was like a huge victory for me without stopping. And I'm like, you know what? I just did this. And I totally didn't think that I would ever be able to do this again.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm mad at myself because I put up the barrier, but
Yes.
I tore it down, and I'm sure I'll be trying to tear down some other ones.
Yes, as you discover them. So fake it till you make it, and don't put limitations on yourself. Those
Hmm.
are great. That's great. So if you walk away, I hope you walk away with that. Fake it till you make it, and don't put any barriers on yourself. For those people that have listened and watched, and Kendra, thank you so much for sharing your story. I really think so many people are going to benefit from it. So tell us where people can get your book.
Yeah, they can get it on Amazon. There is an ebook there, and that's only $2.99. And
Okay.
then the paperback is available for $9.99.
Okay,
If you
perfect.
just look, yeah, you can put my name in there, or you can put the title in. Either way, it'll pop right up.
Yes, so go to Amazon, search Kendra's book, "Whole: A Leg Up on Life." If you know anybody that's struggling, or you yourself, yes, love the
There we go.
cover. Yeah, it's so great. Um, be proud, show it off, and fake it till you make it if you need to. But go check
Great.
out Kendra's book. I think really it's going to help people gain a lot of wisdom, just following her journey and the way that she handled things and how it went for her. So, Kendra, thank you again for being my guest today.
Yeah,
And
thanks for letting me share my story.
yes, of course. So, we will sign off for now at Author Talk, but Kendra, stick around, okay?